Hi everyone, Helen Blunden here. Hope you're happy, healthy and well. Today is a video where I talk about some of the new books that I bought in the last week. Now, I don't buy books new usually, simply because I prefer to buy secondhand books and also go to the library. It's cheaper, and obviously books here in Australia are very expensive, ranging anywhere from $25 for a novel, higher for non-fiction and hard copies. So if I make a choice to buy a book, it is because of the reason that I want to keep it in my library. I want to have it forever and ever, and it is usually an author who has moved me in some way through their writing, which I'll buy new. And I also buy the books when there are some kind of sale on or discounts with the book club of the bookstore that I am part of. So that's what happened in this week. So I'd love to show you the books that I bought. Now, some of you mentioned in the comments, and especially through my reviews that I did of Murakami, that I should read Norwegian Wood as my next Murakami book. So naturally, I bought it. So this was a no-brainer for me. I loved Murakami's stories ever since I bought his first book and read it. I fell in love with his writing, and I thought that would be an author that I would want on my shelf. And so I bought Norwegian Wood simply because a lot of the comments in my Murakami reviews mentioned this particular book. So I'm looking forward to reading this, number one, in 2023. Another one that was mentioned was Kafka on the Shore. Now, this is a little bit more surrealistic or magical, I think, as it's mentioned. But regardless, look, I don't know much about it. I just think Murakami, it's going to be good. So I'm looking forward to reading that. And the third one that I bought, which strangely I didn't buy simply because I didn't know his work when this first came out, but I do recall a lot of my friends getting quite excited when this book was published and it was out on the shelves in the bookstores. Everyone I knew bought it. They loved it. And meanwhile, I was a bit late to the game, as I usually am with a lot of the writers. I didn't know who Murakami was back then, so obviously I didn't buy the book. Now I know who he is, and I bought it. So this looks like a very big read. It is a trilogy. I am looking forward to this. And one of the big things that I want to do in the new year is maybe just start getting into big books, kind of really slow my reading right down. So this is not going to be a big deal for me, simply because, look, I'll show you what I'm currently reading, which is very pertinent to 2022, my year of transformation. So it makes perfect sense why I'm reading this book. Do you know what it is? There we go. War and Peace by Tolstoy. I am about 200 pages in. I am scribbling all over the book, and already I am loving the story. I really look forward to sitting down and reading every day a part of this story and immersing myself into the courts, and also the battle scenes. Well, I've just finished the battle scene anyway, but there we go. War and Peace. After this, Murakami's IQ 84. It's going to be a cinch. What else did I buy? Let's start with Bryson. Okay, you've probably heard of Bill Bryson. He's published a whole heap of books. Now, he's an author who I've got nearly all of his books except one, the book about the body, which is one of his recent ones. This one is a short history of nearly everything, a journey through time and space and time, sorry. And I love his writing simply because he's a traveler, and if he doesn't get to travel in person, in real life, he'll travel through his armchair and through his pen, through his writing, which I love, and it's what I do and have been doing for the last few years, simply because we haven't traveled anywhere because of COVID. So I'm looking forward to reading Bill Bryson's A Short History of Nearly Everything. I'm someone who loves reading stories about space, time. I do want to get more into physics and mathematics in the new year. more science, I guess. But I've always kind of put it off simply because I feel as if it is not going to be my forte. I would get lost in a whole heap of things. So I thought if I read Bill Bryson, he'll just give me kind of like the funny, amusing ways of being able to understand a topic. And that's what I usually do. If I feel as if a topic is getting too heavy for me, or if I don't want to really drill deep into it just at the first introduction of a particular topic, say for history, I will find an amusing writer who writes that topic in such a way that makes me read it and have fun with it, so then I could go down rabbit warrens and explore. So some of the writers that, you know, I follow is like David Hunt, who does Australian history. Australian history to me, I found always boring. David Hunt was someone who, and I think I do have his books. Hang on a tick. David Hunt. Here's another one, if you're interested in Australian history, by Gert. It is fantastic. He's got an amusing way of writing it. So anyway, David Hunt, Bill Bryson, I put those authors together, didn't I? That's the kind of writing to expect when you're dealing with Bill Bryson books. Highly, highly recommended. Okay, the next book, I wasn't too sure about it, but it was on lists, and it was a bit of a risk, I guess, especially buying something that I wasn't too sure about, but it is a story. It's not a story. It is a collection of writing and a collection of 20 philosophers where Michael McGirr talks about their ideas to save your life, philosophy for wisdom, solace, and pleasure. So he takes 20 different philosophers and he talks about them again in an amusing, warm manner. So it is kind of like a teaser or an introduction to philosophy, if you like. And he talks about what is a meaningful life, what's our life's purpose. So this would be, I thought, a good introduction into philosophy. Again, I don't mind reading these books. These are little nuggets of wisdom and knowledge that you can enjoy, and it's readable. In some way though, it does do your thinking for you, which I much prefer to read the real thing and make that assessment and that knowledge myself. But as an introduction, yeah, I am still looking forward to this. Now, this next book, though, is very different. I don't have this author in my library. I have read a lot of his books, but every single time I read his book, they are heavy simply because of the themes that he writes about. And it's also kind of depressing at times. But I got this book to be in my library, and I'm talking about J.M. Coetzee, and this one is Disgrace. And it is about this teacher who has an affair with a student and all things goes wrong. And it is a book that examines the ideas of evil, violence, dignity and redemption in a country dominated by power dynamics of race in South Africa. So he's a heavy read, but I thought if I'm going to get any of Coetzee's books, it'll be this one. Again, a big risk on my part to make an assumption of this. This was a Booker Prize winning novel. So, all right. Coetzee, I think I might have to leave you for a little bit when I'm in that mindset. Maybe in the depths of winter, our Australian winter, I'll get to this one. Okay, the next one also, a bit of a risk for me for buying this, simply because it feels like a self-help book. And look, I'm not against self-help books. They're really good, but I actually kind of prefer to read literature where I could glean the lessons from those stories or from writers that I like. I actually want to do my own thinking, if that makes sense. And this one is by Oliver Burkeman. It's called 4,000 Weeks, Time and How to Use It. Again, time management and me. In the past, I felt that I had to be really productive and manage my time to the nth degree. Now in 2022, my year of transition, I am beginning to think that life is as good as it is here and now, and I am enjoying the peace and quiet that I've got at home now, that I'm starting to think that my life purpose is here and now. I don't need to be doing anything. I don't want to be doing anything over and above what I am doing now. My surroundings, my life, this is how I should enjoy and what it is meant to be. I'm meant to be here and now, right now, if that makes sense. So I don't know why I got this book, 4,000 Weeks, Time and How to Use It. My time, I've long since understood, is meant to be enjoyed with friends, family, my yarn, my knitting, my crafts, reading my books, spending time with my favorite authors who teach me about enjoying the moment. So I think I'll have to be in some time and space for this. Maybe I'm too late for this. I don't know. I don't know as yet. If you've read this book, let me know. However, it's had rave reviews, so I may as well read it. Why not? And last of all, one of my favorite classics of all time. I have read it a couple of times in the past, and recently I was standing on a train platform at Flinders Street Station in Melbourne, and I saw this young woman, fairly young, I would say, yeah, older than a teenager, yeah, reading this book. And I had to go up to her and I say, you are reading a fantastic book. And it really heartened me to see young people reading classics. I am talking, of course, about All Quiet on the Western Front. That was the book I'd read a couple of times ago. It's somewhere here in my own library. It is a book I will never get rid of. It is a book that has to be read and appreciated. But this is its sequel. It's called The Way Back, and we see Ernst coming back from the Great War, trying to integrate back into life. And I think it's actually quite fitting to have a book like this, and I think that'll be a read for 2023, to come from a place of an awful environment to be in, the battle and the destruction, and to be integrated into life and actually understand how to get back into it. In some ways, I think it is actually quite fitting of the year 2022, given that the last couple of years has been a massive upheaval for so many of us, not only through what is happening in our work, in our lives, in our world, in our own countries, with our environment. We're all probably in a year of transition, and I would say 2022 for me was a massive year of transition. Transition meaning that middle space of trying to understand what you used to do in the past does not make sense for the future right now. And for me, 2022 was that middle space where I quit work because it simply didn't align to my values anymore. I've stopped social media. I've gone into myself. I'm re-examining a whole heap of things and going through my own personal transformation journey. So it's very fitting to see that the books that I have got here are very much so around that same theme. And I don't know whether it is indicative of the reason why I decided those books I needed to get. But at the same time, I mentioned before that I am reading War and Peace, and it is the first time that I have read any of Tolstoy's books. It is quite daunting to see the page number here, but so far what I'm gleaning from this is that it's going to be quite a transformative read for me, where I'm seeing the characters are all parts of humanity, parts of the traits and the characteristics that we all have, who are going through and will be going through a personal transformation in their lives too. So quite a fitting read and theme for me to wrap up 2022 with a book from Tolstoy, of an author I've never read, but I think I'm quickly going to like, and will explore his other works simply because I feel as if he's an author that aligns to my own thinking, a very humanist approach. It's coming out very strongly in here, but also the books that I've just shown you. So I thought I'd show you these. Let me know what you think. If you've read any of these books, if there are others I should start reading, please let me know. Thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Bye for now.